Cards versus the Eagles in Louisville on Saturday night.
You are Locked On Louisville, your daily podcast on the Louisville Cardinals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome into this special crossover episode between Locked On Louisville. I'm Dalton Pence and AJ Black, host of Locked On Boston College. We have all of the good things pertaining to this upcoming matchup between the Louisville Cardinals and the Boston College Eagles. Those two teams will square off on Saturday night at 7:30 at L&N Cardinal Stadium. We will identify main storylines, discuss keys to victory, and then deliver final predictions at the end of the show. AJ, first off, how's it going, man? It's been about a calendar year since we've collabed.
Yeah, it was the last time we talked was on the heels of a right before an actual BC collapse when BC had a 21-0 lead over Louisville and fell apart. Personally, things have been great. Otherwise, things have been it's been pretty chaotic here in Chestnut Hill as BC has been playing very poorly and things have been pretty bleak.
It seems like that's definitely been the case, and we're going to get into this rough free fall for Boston College and hoping that Louisville can reverse this historical curse it seems that they've found themselves a part of over the past 2 years under Jeff Brom. But first, today's episode of the show is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, you can bet $300. I'm sorry, you can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right, pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. But AJ, thank you for being patient with me. My Wi-Fi is not being reliable, and I'm hoping that on Saturday night, the Louisville Cardinals can prove to be reliable in a matchup where last year, talking about a complete roller coaster, right? I mean, Boston College opens up this huge lead, and I'll be honest, I'm close to turning the game off. And then I'm like, you know what? We're going to give it one more possession. That's when Louisville starts this comeback. But Boston College this season, they open up with one win and then 6 straight losses, most of those being by double digits. And I read the article from Jody Demling where he interviewed you, and you said it was for a myriad of reasons, right? What can you kind of highlight as the main culprits as to why Boston College has struggled thus far?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things going on with BC right now, but the biggest issue that they have that's really put them behind the 8 ball is the defense. You hate making excuses, and this coaching staff will not make excuses. They'll continue to say that they need to have the next guy up. But if you look at the depth chart from the Fordham game to now in terms of who's here and who's hurt, it's insane how many guys BC has out right now. They're 2 starting cornerbacks. They're starting 3 of their 4 starting defensive tackles. One of their starting edge rushers. They're starting linebacker. 4 to 5 depth guys. Like, they're down to their 5th string defensive tackle. They're down to their 4th string cornerback as a starter and their 5th string as a starter. They have nobody. And as I said on my podcast the other day, obviously you don't want to make excuses. Injuries are huge. Like, you've got freshmen out there, and you'll see this on Saturday. Like, they're trying to do different things with these guys, and that's a big issue. They have absolutely no pass rush at all. Donovan Nazaraku last year had 16.5 sacks, led the country. Clearly, he was a big factor in that defense. He's gone. They've been plugging in all these other guys, but really, and the biggest issue here that has caused a lot of this. You look at what Louisville did with their transfer portal class. They brought in, obviously Miller Moss. You have a lot of other talented guys. You've got, Cleve Lubin on defense. A lot of good talent there. I honestly would believe, if you were to ask me, BC brought in 17 transfers last year. 0 of them have been impact players. 0. Dylan Lonergan, you could say, but he's been benched. The biggest impact player BC has that came from the transfer portal is their punter. That's the biggest guy that they have. They brought in all these FCS players that aren't really doing much, and they were asked to be depth players, and all of that is why BC isn't getting anywhere. Because if you had the guys that back them up, hey, maybe one of those guys would develop and you'd be okay, but they have nothing. And that's why they're 1-6.
Yeah, I mean, when I looked underneath the surface, I mean, of course, the team hasn't been good, but I'm like, why is this? And I'm like, it can't just be injuries. And that makes sense when you state it like that. And I didn't know that. I mean, it seems like the hit rate just has not been there whatsoever with
It's
incoming
awful.
transfers. I think for Louisville, it's, like I said, it's two ships passing each other in the night.
Yep.
Louisville is coming off of that victory over Miami to where they have everything to play for, but they're also trying to reverse this, albeit short, but historical curse where they've opened up with a statement victory halfway through the season. And immediately after that, they lose to a team that they have no business losing to. And this year, what do you know? You get the victory against Miami, and now you're playing a Boston College team that you're favored to beat by over 3 touchdowns. Now, I do think in this weird vibes type way that a rare in-conference night game might help Louisville in terms of focusing. But I would imagine that all Cardinal fans are kind of looking around thinking, you know what, you should beat Boston College, but shoulda, coulda, woulda. And the past 2 years, I mean, 2023, you beat Notre Dame and lose to Pittsburgh. That shouldn't have happened. 2024, you beat Clemson, lose to Stanford. That shouldn't happen. So for Louisville, I think the main storyline here is capturing that momentum and continuing to ride that wave and not allowing it to come to a screeching halt at this point. But I'm curious because as Boston College, a program that over the past 15 years, it seems like they hover around that 5 to 7 win average. This year at 1-6, they're tied for last in the ACC at 0-4. I mean, they still have the meat of their schedule left to go. Their final 5 games: Louisville, Notre Dame, SMU, Georgia Tech, Syracuse. Like, AJ, I don't want to be that guy, but I'm like, what are you looking for here that will give you any type of you're already shaking your head, but I guess, how do you gain any type of encouragement? I mean, do you have to pull off some upsets to have some good vibes going into the offseason, or what's sort of the measuring stick here?
I've watched a lot of bad football over the last month and a half. I don't know what this team could do. Like, I mean, the defense, stop rate is the amount of drives that defense causes that either ends in a turnover, or downs, or a punt. BC is 134th out of 136. And if you look above them, like the top 10 above them, half to 60% of those teams have fired their head coaches, and the last 2 are just garbage. I don't know how BC is going to improve anything on the season. And even Bill O'Brien said it himself. They asked him about it earlier this week, and he said, if I knew what the fix was, I would have it.
Is it soul searching? Is it like you just dig deep and maybe try different personnel, or
he's tried so many different things, right? So they started the season off. The big issue, and you'll see it when you play against Louisville. Louisville's the big piece they're going to be able to take advantage of, as I said earlier. They have no pass rush at all, so they can't put any pressure with just their BC starting 4. They have to put blitzes, and they blitz like crazy those first couple games. Well, that wasn't getting home, and you were getting issues where guys were wide open. That's how they lost the Cal game. Coverage busts and things that, where guys were trying to, hold on in single coverage, and then the back end gets killed. They stopped doing that, and now they're going towards zone coverage with young players who are getting confused and still learning and trying to figure out because they're playing 3 to 4 true freshmen out there now. Yeah. I honestly believe sometimes the one thing, like I look at the Syracuse game, they're struggling too. Maybe you get your secondary to start figuring some of the stuff out. That game is where things come together, because I have no idea how BC stays in any of these other games that they're playing in, whether it's against Haynes King or Kevin Jennings, Jeremiah Love. I have no idea how they're going to slow
it's a tough stretch for a team that's just desperately trying to muster up momentum going into the offseason.
Because you look at those first couple games too, BC, they're I know we mentioned that there was a few that they got blown out at. They're only a few plays away from being 4-3. They could have beaten MSU. Turbo Richards fumbled the ball at the 1-yard line in 2 straight games. And Stanford, the same thing. Like
Yeah.
they had the ball at the 5-yard line with like 1 minute left, and Dylan Lonergan threw an interception in the end zone. Like, that's the kind of bad luck the season started with, and now
Right.
the wheels have completely fallen off, where they're just getting blown out all the time now.
Let's take a look at this matchup a little bit further. I think that there's one battle between the Cardinals and the Eagles that will determine, if this game gets lopsided, if Boston College could potentially do the unthinkable. We'll tell you what that is and continue the talk right here on this Locked On crossover episode between the Locked On Louisville and the Locked On Boston College. One of today's sponsors is Quo. One of the tools that helps make a huge difference for business owners is Quo, formerly Open Phone. It's the same great business phone system you've heard me talk about before, just with a new name. And here's why it matters. Every missed call is money left on the table, and every customer conversation counts. You need a phone system that keeps you connected 24/7. Quo is the #1 business phone system that streamlines customer communications. It works right through an app on your phone or computer, so no more carrying 2 phones or relying on a landline. Whether you're a solo operator juggling everything or part of a larger team, Quo makes it easy to stay responsive and professional. See why over 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly Open Phone. Get started for free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedoncollege. That's QUO.com/lockedoncollege. You can even keep your existing number for free. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. And while I have you, let's tell you about the title sponsor of the show, FanDuel. Look, at this point in the season, Louisville hasn't been good against the spread, and it's really no issue of FanDuel's. It's the fact that consistency has been an issue for the Cardinals, but Louisville did cover the spread against Miami and then some. They ended up pulling off the victory. But if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today to get started. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Louisville and Locked On Boston College part of your daily commutes and being an everydayer of both of these shows. Cardinals squaring off with the Eagles on Saturday. Rare conference home game at night for the Louisville Cardinals. But I think one battle or position battle, if you will, AJ, in this game is going to be the rushing department. Boston College's rushing defense really just it's been pretty decent, I would say. I mean, pedestrian at worst, 61st in the country, right? Which is out of 136 teams, not terrible. Maybe you can attest more to that. But Louisville's offense, you saw them try to establish the run more with Isaac Brown getting healthier. They were able to find some success against Miami. And I believe that Louisville is going to do their best to control the tempo in this game, and that's going to be giving the ball to Isaac Brown. We'll see if Duke Watson plays in this game. That injury report will come out later tonight, and then Kewan Brown as well. So I think that that's going to be one of those tone-setting battles that we see, that chess match where Louisville's going to do everything they can to get that rushing attack established early on.
Yeah, I mean, for BC, they have really – that's probably been one of their stronger suits, has been their run defense. They haven't really been attacked that hard. They've had a few, issues. The Stanford game really stands out. And then they had a couple tough moments against Cal, but the reason why is that most offenses are just going to go through the air. So I honestly, if I were Louisville, I think the way I see this game playing out is that this is a game where Miller Moss is going to be able to do some, really a get right game for him where say get right, but like a game where he really explodes because he's gonna be able to move the ball efficiently. Then you're probably gonna, this is how bleak it's getting, man. It's probably gonna
bad because I
can't believe this game's at 7:30 at night.
Any team lightly, but I'm listening to you talking. I'm like, man, I kind of feel bad for my guy.
This is what happens when you lose by 2 touchdowns at home to UConn the week before. But I think I look at Louisville's offense, and you just had Moss. What did he throw for over 250 yards against Miami? Like, you're playing against BC's C squad. They're going to struggle, and so wouldn't surprise me. If Louisville gets out to a big lead through the air, BC's going to probably struggle, and then you start to lean on the run. And I think if you wear down BC's offense with that, that's when you're going to start seeing some explosives. And like Isaac Brown, man, like BC hasn't really played a running back like him yet. I I I don't think they're going to stop
And then
him.
you got back-to-back weeks. It's Isaac Brown and then Jeremiah Love. But do you think that and the reason I brought up the rushing attack is I saw the passing defense numbers, and you would think that Louisville's passing offense has the extreme advantage. The reason I brought up the rushing attack, because I have a feeling that at this point, Boston College is getting pretty desperate, and they're going to try some interesting things. And Louisville's one of those teams to where if you can get after the quarterback, things get interesting. So I would imagine from where I sit, and you can add your 2 cents as well. It feels like Bill O'Brien and company are going to maybe try to go back to what they did early in the season and try to do what they can to get after Miller Moss. Because look, if you get the ball cleanly out to Chris Bell and Colin Lacey, it's not really going to be a great game for the opposing defense, because those are some big time playmakers. But if you force Miller Moss to go through his progressions just that much sooner, you can maybe force him to make mistakes. So I feel like Boston College is going to, cards on the table, no pun intended. You're going to do what you can to try to sell out and stop the pass. And if Louisville's able to get the rushing attack going, you're going to have to keep them honest.
Yeah. I don't know how they've tried so many different things, and I'm sure they're going to try something else different this time to try to get pressure. They had 1 sack last week against UConn. They're just not getting pressure, and they're not able to do it. And we talk about injuries. Their best edge rusher, Quintavious Hutchins, who had like 6.5 sacks last year. Mm-hmm. He's playing with a club on his hand because he had some sort of hand injury. He's at half strength. So that piece is it's like it's pick your poison with BC how they're going to do this. Like, they're going to try to blitz, but that's going to leave their secondary exposed, and the secondary has really struggled. And I don't know. When we get to predictions, you'll hear how dire I think it will be.
I want to ask you this before we get into the next segment. Of course, Dylan Lonergan gets benched.
Yep. And
you end up going with Grayson James at quarterback. And Grayson spent 3 seasons with FIU before going to BC last year. And he actually played more than I had remembered.
Yep.
I believe, what was that when Castellanos?
He got benched the week after he imploded against Louisville. He imploded against Syracuse, and they benched him, and then he quit. So then James won. James, to his credit, like that month of November, he came back and beat Syracuse. He beat UNC and he beat Pitt. And then held his own against SMU, and that was a playoff team. They SMU on the road had to go down to the wire against BC. So he's shown pieces here and there. He's much more mobile than Dylan Lonergan. And they look like if you watch the film from last week, you see a lot more like, quarterback reads and things like that you never would have seen with Lonergan. So there's that piece. He's not as, I don't know. I think Lonergan's a smarter quarterback and can read the field a lot better. But it's a different style, and I think he can move the ball a little bit more right now because Lonergan just got shattered. The Syracuse and Pitt. I mean, the Pitt and Clemson game just really kind of just destroyed him. So,
yeah, I mean, it also, and this is the truth with Miller Moss to an extent, when you struggle at times to run the football and your offense is so one-dimensional to where the quarterback has to feel like he needs to be a superhero, it can almost be counterproductive from a mental standpoint. So, I mean, do you think that at this point, moving forward, is Grayson James, is he the better option overall than Dylan? Or is it one of those things where it's like, hey, man, you just got to try something and see what sticks?
I mean, I think it's tough because Lonergan's a younger quarterback. You got him for 2 more years, technically, right? So you're going to you have Notre Dame next week. I don't know. I don't think anyone's going to gain anything by throwing Dylan Lonergan out there. He's going to get killed. So have James get out there, take the lumps. You can, some of the other games that you're looking at, maybe if he starts to pick it back up, but like I looked at Louisville and I looked at Notre Dame and I'm like, these are perfect Grayson James games because we don't need Dylan Lonergan's, psyche completely shattered going into the offseason because we've had quarterbacks before where things fall apart and then they're just gone. Like you have something there. Just have them sit and watch.
Yeah. No, I understand that. And AJ hinted that his score prediction is going to be bleak for his squad. We will find out what that is and give our final predictions from a score standpoint and overall game standpoint when we come back on this Locked On crossover episode between Locked On Louisville and Locked On Boston College. Also want to take this time to tell you about our friends over at Mazda. Listen, Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. It delivers confidence from footwork to breathwork. Athletes sweat all the details. And Mazda, they bring that same attention in the way that they craft every model. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Let's go ahead and take things home, AJ, with this game. Louisville kind of going back and forth. They opened up as a 23.5-point favorite. I've seen them as high as 25.5 on the title sponsor of the show, FanDuel. We'll keep the final scores to the side for the moment. I want to know your overall thoughts on this game. What scares you the most about this matchup? And how do you kind of see this going from a flow perspective?
I think that Louisville clearly has a gigantic talent gap here. Like the gap between Louisville and BC is just huge. I just look at the skill players, your defense, like it's at such a high level that BC is not there yet. And the way that BC has struggled, you watch the body language, you feel it. It just doesn't feel like BC has much left in the tank. Like they're just getting shattered out there. And I think that's the big piece to me is that it's a road game. Bill O'Brien has won one road game since he's been the head coach at BC, and it was the season opener last year. He's lost every other one. I just look at this and I say, night game, Louisville's off. I know that there's the letdown aspect of this, but I don't know. I don't see them as the Stanford from last year. There's just too many issues going on with Boston College right now to see that BC actually hangs in there with them. They have not quit. They have not quit at all. The players are out there busting their butts. I don't want them to think that I think they're quitting because they're definitely not. It's just
a tough go. I mean, it's just been a tough season where injuries have combined with, maybe it's not gelling. Maybe it's, I mean, there's like you said, a plethora of different reasons, but it's not an indication that players are quitting anything like that. And I think that it's important that you do bring that up. And I like that you did.
Yep.
But, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm done. Go.
No, you're good. I think for the Louisville Cardinals, I agree with you. I think that you have to keep the letdown aspect in mind because you can never look over any opponent because that's when things get tricky. But this team feels different in the way of how resilient they are. Even though consistency has been an issue, this team has played its best football predominantly in the fourth quarter. And maybe that doesn't pertain to this game so much, but I look at, we hear about all the time. Well, is a team going to quit when they hit adversity because you got so many different guys that haven't been together for a long time? Are they going to quit because maybe they don't have the bond like teams did in the past? And I think that this team is just very tight-knit. It is a close team. It is one that, they play for each other. And I think that that's going to bode well moving forward from this Miami game, as I think they understand, hey, look, we got a lot to play for. We got a Boston College team that we can take care of. We're going to go into this game, like I said, weird vibes with a rare conference night game, and I think that that's going to help. I'll start us off with the score prediction. I think that this is the first Power 4 game in which Louisville gets a blowout in. I'm not sure if they cover the spread. The spread, I despise large spreads like that because they're so dangerous, because backdoor covers are definitely a thing. But I think that this is one that Louisville puts up points, and they also end up, playing pretty good defense. So I'm going to go Louisville 42, Boston College 14.
Oh, wow. We're pretty close. Yeah. Before I get into my score prediction, I also want to go on a diatribe and say, why is this game at 7:30 at night?
This feels like the most noon game ever.
It should be
7:30.
Look, I'm a dad. I got kids that are going to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I got to stay up and watch this and then do a postcast afterwards. It's brutal. And I know Notre Dame's going to be a night game too. I'm like, come on, just let me get my Saturdays back at least. Well, anyways, BC on the road, obviously, as I said before, has struggled. The defense is completely falling apart at the seams. The offense, there's been pieces. Reed Harris has played well. Lewis Bond has played pretty well. Turbo Richard probably won't play. I don't know what injury he had, but he missed most of the UConn game. So there's your leading rusher gone. Bill O'Brien is trying. He's redealing the cards as much as he can to try to figure things out. It's too late in the season at this point. I love that he tried Grayson James, at least trying something different. He's put in different offensive linemen. He's put in different defensive linemen. But I look at what Louisville has, and this just strikes me as some of the games BC got blown out with in the last couple of weeks. I think that Miller Moss is probably going to throw close to like 75-80% of his passes complete. I don't see BC getting any turnovers because they just don't seem to do that. And I have BC getting blown out 45-10.
It's crazy. When you said, I heard the 7 number, I'm like, surely he's not saying 7 touchdowns, because that's where I thought you were going. I'm like, wow, talking about bleak.
My film guy has, he does my Friday show with me. I'm not going to give it away because our listeners are thinking he has the blowout way bigger than what I have.
Really?
So yeah, way bigger. You listen on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's in there for Louisville to be able to pull that off. The thing is, they have to, I won't say replicate, but they've got to continue to show that consistency on offense, because, I mean, the issue has been the Cardinals have had some really high highs, but their low lows have been like maddening, inexcusable lows that just make you just want to pull your hair out, and it's extremely frustrating. But this matchup, 7:30 at Cardinal Stadium on Saturday night. Both shows will have one more episode. I don't know for Locked on Boston College, but there will be one more for Locked on Louisville through the week. That is going to wrap up this Locked on crossover. Dalton, Pence, AJ Black previewing this matchup in its entirety. Thank you all so much for tuning in and making Locked on Louisville and Locked on Boston College part of your daily program. We'll see you back here very soon. Go ACC.